Hi, meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Thursday, October 7th. Kind of a split pattern for the nation across the next 6 to 10 days or so. Looks like a lot of colder than normal air will move into the western half of the nation over the next week to 10 days or so. Meanwhile, the eastern half of the nation, warmer than normal conditions on average for the next 6 to 10 days or so. Beyond that, there could be some changes where the northeast or the mid-Atlantic region turn cooler by around the third week of the month of October. In the short term, we have a low pressure system of tropical origin that we'll have to deal with in the mid-Atlantic region over the next few days, especially this upcoming weekend. So we'll start off with a look at the tropical scene before we get into the specifics about the split nation weather pattern that's coming for the next 6 to 10 days or so. First of all, here's a look at the Atlantic Basin tropical activity. We, of course, reached the peak of the season, at least from a climatological point of view, by the middle part of the month of September. Here we are now at the end of the first week of October, and there is, in fact, one system right now off the Carolina coastline. Looks like it'll move to the north and east over the next 12 to 24 hours or so. After that, I think it'll actually feed in a lot of moisture into the mid-Atlantic region for the upcoming weekend, resulting in the likelihood for some rain in places like D.C. and perhaps Philadelphia and even New York City, and could even be some decent rainfall out of this. Low pressure area could actually intensify near the Delmarva Peninsula over the weekend. Also will bring breezy conditions and cooler conditions as well, with a northeast wind rotating around in a counterclockwise fashion this low pressure system off the mid-Atlantic coastline during the upcoming weekend. So this is something we'll watch for over the next few days. Meanwhile, the rest of the Atlantic Basin quiet right now. However, there's still warmer than normal sea surface temperatures in much of the Atlantic Ocean, so don't be surprised if there's more activity in the Atlantic Ocean region as we go through mid-October and into the latter stages of the month of October. Well, let's now take a look at the split nation that's developing here in terms of temperatures over the next week to 10 days or so. The western half of the nation below normal, the eastern half above normal. This is the forecast of temperature outlook probabilities by NOAA. I certainly have no reason to disagree with this. Basically, over the next 6 to 10 days or so, a split nation with warmer than normal conditions, very likely in the eastern part of the nation, and colder than normal. That will include some snowfall in those higher elevation regions in the western U.S., such as across Wyoming and other Rocky Mountain states. And as you might expect, this battle zone region right here in the middle part of the nation will be full of precipitation probabilities over the next 6 to 10 days or so. While the west chills down and the east warms up, expect a wet pattern right in between in that battle zone region. Well, let's take a look at last night's ensemble run of the GFS from 6Z. First in terms of 500 millibar height anomalies and then 850 millibar temperature anomalies. Both of these sets of maps will be for 5-day, the rolling average for 5-day periods, beginning with the current 5-day period we're in. And main pattern will be upper level ridging over the eastern part of Canada, much of the eastern U.S., upper level trough over the western U.S., and in turn that will result in below normal temperatures for the western half of the nation and above normal conditions in the eastern half of the nation and much of Canada as well over the next 6 to 10 days or so. Here's the center of the upper level ridging pattern, southeastern Canada, Hudson Bay region. Meanwhile, upper level trough situated out across the Pacific Northwest. Let's now walk through the rest of the month of October. Here we are, a similar pattern here all the way out now to day 6 to 10. This encompasses the period of October 12th to the 17th. So right in the middle part of October, upper level ridging dominating the scene, southeastern Canada, the rest of the eastern U.S., and meanwhile an upper level trough situated out across the western states. As we get to around the third week of the month of October, some subtle changes here. First of all, that upper level ridging that now is centered over eastern Canada kind of shifts westward, retrogrades into the middle part of Canada by the time we get to about the third week of October, let's say October 18th or 19th or so. This will allow for a cool down to take place beyond the 6 to 10 day period. Let's say around the 18th or 19th of October, a cool down in the Mid-Atlantic region, the Northeast U.S., something we'll watch out for over the next week to 10 days or so. Let's now take a look at the 850 millibar temperature anomalies again for rolling 5-day periods. The current 5-day period, way above normal temperatures over the Hudson Bay region of Canada, extending all the way across the Great Lakes into the eastern U.S. Meanwhile, colder than normal in this 5-day period across the western states. Watch what happens. Pretty similar pattern all the way out through the middle part of October. This is the middle part of October from the 13th to the 18th. Still above normal conditions across eastern Canada, extending all the way down to the Gulf coastal region, and colder than normal on average for these 5-day periods out across the western U.S. Then as that upper level ridge kind of retrogrades, the above normal conditions will tend to focus more on the center part of Canada and central U.S. Meanwhile, the eastern states start to get normal, and again, even colder than normal conditions will start to show up here by about 18th or 19th of October. I'm talking about for the Mid-Atlantic region, the Northeast U.S., so kind of a subtle change beyond this 6 to 10 day period. Well, let's wrap up by looking at last night's 0Z run of the European model, kind of focusing in on that coastal low threat for the Mid-Atlantic region during the upcoming week. And this is the forecast map from the 0Z run of the European model for this morning, Thursday morning. And we'll just kind of walk through here and progress through the upcoming weekend here. And here we are, strong high pressure over New England, and then we'll start to see signs here by Saturday morning of a coastal low over the North Carolina region with some decent rainfall, and it kind of consolidates here. We can see that isobar right in here. This is where that coastal low may be by Saturday afternoon over the Outer Banks region, and then we move forward here in time here, and look what happens on the European model run by the time we get to Sunday morning. A healthy rainfall possibility for places like D.C., and I believe Philadelphia and even New York City on the table as well for Saturday and Sunday. With low pressure possible over the Delmarva Peninsula, winds will blow counterclockwise around that low. In other words, there'll be an east to northeast wind developing D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. That'll bring about some cooler conditions for Saturday and Sunday compared to Thursday afternoon and Friday. And that threat of rain again. This has some tropical moisture associated with it, and there's a very real possibility for some rain in the I-95 corridor region of the Mid-Atlantic region over this upcoming weekend. The GFS model does not have this solution right now, but I tend to favor the European model right here. So watch out for some rain and cooler conditions this weekend in the Mid-Atlantic region. So again, for the next 6 to 10 days or so, warmer for the eastern half of the nation, colder for the western half of the nation. That's it for now. I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.